Hi, everyone. So, this is the final week that I'm speaking in 2022. So, it's going to be a really great week. I definitely invite y'all to come this Sunday. And we're going to be wrapping up sort of the main series of talks. We have one more talk from Reverend Faith Wood. She's going to be talking about her trip to Egypt. I'm super excited about that on the 18th. So, make sure to be there. But we're wrapping up kind of our year with this idea of community, the beloved community. That is my talk title this week for the final talk that I'll give for 2022. And it's so interesting because if you were at the center this past Sunday, I talked about this idea of nostalgia and how nostalgia can be a way that actually we use to block community, that it is one of the greatest enemies to community. So I recommend that you go check out that talk. If you're confused by what I'm saying, or if you're like, "Ooh, I don't know that I agree with that," it was good. Go check it out this past Sunday. But where I want to go from there is how this idea that community is sort of ever changing and evolving. And we don't really love that as humans. Humanity, like, we really want things to just kind of settle and be sort of good and just be good, right? And that's not what we get. That's not what life is about. Life is about evolution. Octavia Butler says, God is change. There's nowhere that we can look around and say that is going to stay exactly the same that it has always been. And so what ends up happening is that when we look at this idea of community and this idea that the beloved community is this ever changing, evolving thing that is made up of multiple people, multiple humans coming together, what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with some grief and some nostalgia and some sadness as people kind of come and go, as the community shifts and changes, as the dynamics between people shift and change. And what's interesting is that we experience grief and loss even if it's something that was for our highest and best, even if it was something that was so good for us, we can still experience this idea, this feeling of grief. And so part of being in community with one another is learning to experience and express and process all of these range of emotions in a way that is healthy for ourselves individually and for the entire community. We don't get to, we can have any emotion underneath the sun, but that doesn't mean that we get to express or put that emotion all over somebody else necessarily. And so when we're talking about this idea of beloved community, when we're talking about being together in a deeper, more profound, vulnerable way than maybe we ever have been before, one of the things that we get to do to be that is to learn to process and express our grief and our emotions, especially those emotions that are hard or challenging, those emotions like anger, sadness, upset, frustration, all of those things. We get to learn to be in community even with those emotions, even when things are challenging, even when people leave out of our lives that, even though that was the highest, best thing for us, it still stings. It's still hard. We get to figure out how to do that. And so, we talk about beloved community and how it's supposed to be this place that anybody and everybody can show up to just be fully themselves, and that we all get to belong in that space. And yes, that is true. And one of the aspects of belonging is learning how and figuring out how to be in challenging situations and circumstances, and dare I even say conflicts and obstacles with one another in a way that is healthy and sustaining and growing and evolving and allows each of us to have the full expression and totality of our humanity, even as we're moving through the process together. So, this is what I'm going to be exploring more of this Sunday. I'm so excited to kind of wrap up this year and really launch us into 2023, because the reality is that Celebration Center is a beloved community. Celebration Center is profoundly life-changing. Celebration Center is a place of healing for all who walk through the door. And so I am just so excited, because I know that we are going to continue to grow and to flourish and to bring people into our community and to lift one another up and just become the highest, most evolved, loving, profoundly loved beings as ourselves. I love you all.